Hello, everyone. Hi, I'm Jessica. I am the founder of Black Travelers Network, and I want to give people a moment to come in live and join me. But before I get started, I wanted to just first say that for those of you who are watching who did not catch the live, this is available on the replay. So definitely participate and drop any comments you have below in the comment section. But how's everyone doing? How is everyone doing? How's life in the quarantine treating you? I know it's a bit tough because for most people who are a part of this community, usually now is the time where we are about to get ready and travel. And so things are slightly different as a result of our current situation. And, we use this time as a time to really, hopefully, most people are using this as time to kind of reset because it's almost like someone hit the reset button and said, now is the time for you guys to kind of take a break. I know a lot of people who come on the trips who are like, they have limited vacation time. And so I want to welcome those of you who are on as we have maybe a few more people joining, but I wanted to come on live really quickly and talk very briefly about how travel is not dead, despite what people may think. It's temporarily on hold, but it's certainly not dead. And I want to offer up like 5 really good reasons why travel is not dead. And, part of it has a lot to do with the fact that I'm like, for those of you who are joining, I'm Jess. I'm the founder of Black Travelers Network. And, when it comes down to like my experience in travel, I've been traveling for a lot of years, lots of years, probably closer to 20 years, believe it or not. So I'm very much experienced in travel, and, this is a time that's really like unprecedented. It's a time that, we have never quite experienced. And so this is new, uncharted waters for many of us. But for those of you who are travel enthusiasts, this too shall pass. And once it does, we want to make sure that, any trips that we have in the future, that, folks kind of put this in perspective. And so the number one reason why I say travel ain't dead is that travel is really about collecting data and bringing what you learn back home and applying it. I go so many different places because I'm really one of the main people who helps and assists in terms of organizing the trips that we do. And every experience is so very different. And even though it's very different experience, part of what makes it so different is, the people are different people. That's the number one thing. We always have different groups of people who join our trip, and that makes it very much a lively experience. But as you think about like the communities and the cities that you live in, these places are always changing. And so whenever we take a group to another country, it's never quite the same experience. And so we have our for those of you who are part of the community, that we have a trip coming up in June, the end of June, to South Africa. And again, we move forward. But of course, we definitely are listening to what the government is saying, what the CDC is saying, and in the event that we are not permitted to go because of like really the concerns around the coronavirus. Obviously, everyone's health and safety is the number one thing that we care the most about. And so we have a dynamic group of women who are set to go on this experience. And I'm like over the moon and excited about it. So I really hope that we can proceed. But again, we take our direction from the country of South Africa. We also take our direction from the United States, the CDC, and most importantly, our travelers. They really decide how we move forward. And so, but even once we go to South Africa, like I've been plenty of times, but again, like this is all uncharted territory. Like we've never had the world locked down quite like we've experienced in the last couple of weeks, and it feels like it's been so much longer. But it's been it's been one of those things that now when we go, we have to really contemplate, like, is this the South Africa that we're going to, is this the same South Africa that other folks have experienced? And I would argue that it's going to be a bit different if everything moves forward as it's supposed to move forward. We have experiences throughout the world, and every single time I take something different from the experience. We try to change things up and do different things. But even as somebody who's been going to many of these places for many, many years, and I know the places pretty well that we go to, I get something different from it every single time. And so I bring a lot of, I don't just buy stuff, like I probably don't buy anything. And many of our travelers, they of course enjoy the experience and bring back souvenirs. But for me, what I bring back is more of an understanding of what direction the country is moving in, what are some of the things that the country is prioritizing economically. Every country you go to and visit has an agenda. Most of us probably don't know what that agenda is unless you do like a little bit more research. But for example, the country of South Africa, one of their big things is that they're actually promoting travel within the country of South Africans, and of course that was prior to the lockdown. Many of them are being placed on lockdown as well, just as we're experiencing here. In all countries, really, there isn't a lot of travel that's allowed in and out of the countries, and so I know for our next experience, which for those of you who are just joining, is South Africa. Hi, is that Shani LeBlanc Davis? Hello, how are you? Thank you for joining. So for those folks who are coming, we'll see how it goes, but the country of South Africa does prioritize travel among South Africans because many of them don't travel to other parts of the country. It's like a big deal for them to get on the flight and go to a different part of the country. And so prior to this whole coronavirus, the country was prioritizing and promoting a lot of intra South African travel. And so that's something I'd never, all the years I've been going, I'd never seen or experienced their promotion efforts, but that was really important for me to see. So it also helps and influences how I talk to people here about the country and what their priorities are. So, travel is really about collecting data, figuring out how can you take Hey, Cherie, how can you take what it is that you've learned from your experience abroad and apply it to what's happening here? This is one of those situations that I always come into things from a business perspective. And so I really hope and wish that our travelers would like go to these countries, have the most amazing experiences, and figure out how they can create businesses, whether it's abroad or back home. That's like really where my heart and my passion is. But yeah, so that's number one. And so it's travel is also about expanding your family and expanding your travel tribe. One of the things that I feel has been the best thing that I've enjoyed the most in seeing our travelers who have joined our experiences is most of them stay connected. Like a lot of people tend to like communicate from time to time, some of which have found their travel buddies and go on other trips because as the founder of BTN, I encourage people to go on everybody's trips, to be honest with you. I'm not like a hoarder, like everybody has to come on a Black Travelers Network experience trip. Like, I'm not like that. I really want our folks to get out there and travel and experience as many different travel tribes and expand your travel family as much as you can, because it's really about developing those relationships. And so for that reason, I know travel isn't dead, because people like to go have shared experiences that goes beyond the United States. Once travel starts back up again, it may look slightly different. It definitely could look different in terms of, especially for those of us who are doing international travel. It can look, I'm just like running through different scenarios in terms of like the level of clearances people could have to experience. Hey, Ashley. Hi. Hey, Yane. I'm seeing people who are joining. But I'm super optimistic about what the travel picture looks like moving forward. If this experience hasn't taught us anything, the one thing it's taught us is that putting things off until next year nothing is really guaranteed. And so I always tell people, like, if you can afford to make moves, make the moves. Don't wait. Don't hesitate. If you can afford it and it's within your budget and it's something you've wanted to do not hesitate, because there are lots of people who have trips that they had, scheduled for March and April, and we really just don't know how this thing is going to play out. But it's those core reasons why it's not dead, because there's a unique desire among all of us to stay connected and to push ourselves out there and meet new people. So that's the number 2 reason. Number 3, travel is really about building community. I tell people all the time that part of my purpose, and I define purpose as what you assign yourself to do. Part of my purpose is to really build community. Like, a lot of people think that it's really about traveling. And for many of you who travel, it probably is about traveling for you. But for someone who, like me, who has been traveling for many years, who interact with so many different people on a regular basis, even now, like, I'm always so delighted because our travelers who come on our experiences, like, I get calls from them. I was just talking to Cherie. Cherie is joining us. But I was just telling her, like, they call me all the time and we talk about things that have absolutely nothing to do with travel. Some people talk about their jobs, some people talk about their families. Like, it really is a great dynamic when you can go into an experience and not know really anyone and find a way of having some common ground. We do have, every couple of trips will have a hiccup or two, and I'll probably talk about what that actually has looked like in the past, in terms of people's personalities, but just, how that plays out, we can never really predict. But for the most part, people are amazing and they get along very, very well. I'm always so excited and so pleased to experience a new country with new travelers. And so but I see it as really me being focused on building the community, especially among those of us who are Black American, or from the African diaspora. Our connections go so much beyond the United States. And then when you get a chance to travel to some of these places, you see how in the end we're very much the same people with some of the same thoughts and ideas and priorities and how we approach things. Black people, we're just a really special, unique group of people, and I'm not afraid to say that. So travel is not dead because of that reason. It's also not dead because it's really about getting away from your jobs. Some of y'all working these jobs, oh my goodness. Like, I remember when I was in the workforce, and I'm telling you, like, the stuff you deal with on these jobs is just beyond, like, you really do need to schedule time to get away. Like, people deal with favoritism, nepotism, unfair promotions, pay inequity. And that's another thing. Like, if some of you like really pulled the salaries and what some of your coworkers are paid, you would be surprised at the amount of pay discrepancies and pay inequities that exist in the workforce. Prior to starting Black Travelers Network, hi Prince. Prince is joining us from Ghana. Prior to working here, prior to creating Black Travelers Network, one of the things that I did, I worked a lot in labor and politics. And so I worked with people who were on the front lines in the labor market. And the amount of issues that happen in the workplace are just beyond me. And like, you really need to schedule time to get away and unplug. And I'll tell you a very interesting story about myself. Because, travel for me, I'd put it off, international travel, I'd put it off for so many years because I was so burnt out on traveling, because I had the kind of job where I was literally in and out of airports almost every other weekend. And so even though I could afford to go anywhere I wanted to go in the world on like my vacation time, I was like, the last thing I want to do is get on a plane and spend like 16 hours or 13 hours on a flight to get to another part only to have to come back. Like, I did not want to do that. And so I put travel off for so long. And then I took a trip. I believe it might have been 2013. It was Cherie and I, we went on a trip in maybe it was 2014, Cherie, correct me if I'm wrong. But we took a trip to Ghana, and we actually have a trip to Ghana that, it was on the itinerary, but a number of things, we may not be able to do that. We'll see. But we took a trip to Ghana, had an amazing time. And I came back to the States with an attitude like, you got to be kidding me. I'm not about to answer no work emails. If anybody from the job call me, they have to leave a voicemail before I'm even going to take the call. Okay. And if they don't leave a voicemail, they're going to have to email me. Because when I tell you, after my trip to Ghana, I checked all the way out on my job. Yeah, Cherie confirmed. Yeah, it was 2014. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I checked out so much. Like, it was just, I was over it. It opened my eyes in terms of not just the history and the culture that we miss out on by not traveling to some of these places, especially Ghana. I feel like if you're visiting West Africa, Ghana is like hands down one of the best places. Shout out to Prince Hart, who's watching. He's an amazing resource for going and traveling to Ghana. But I just feel like that is one of those experiences that really changed me. It changed me. Like because part of it was I was offended because I found out that my job had sent a certain person who doesn't look like us over to Ghana at the same time that I was there. And I asked for these opportunities and I was never given the chance to have an assignment over there. And that just really like irritated me. And then when I got there and I saw how beautiful Ghana was and how rich our ancestors' history is, and I mean, it just like, it really opened my eyes and it changed me. And I came back to work and I was never the same. Like I had an ego, I had an attitude. I was like, they're not going to be able to tell me anything. Like I really checked out after Ghana. And like, I'm telling you, I was horrible about checking emails after that. I was not good about, being prompt to meetings. Like it really changed me. And it was like the spark that began Black Travelers Network for me. So travel, if you don't incorporate it into your annual plan, I would say from this point on, you have to do it, especially to one of the places that it is considered to be a part of the African diaspora. Not only will it change you, but it builds confidence in you to know and to see and to be in a place where your ancestors and your people still your people today, are in all types of positions and are really at the forefront of building Ghana up to a level where it's going to be one of the leaders on the African continent. And if you can go to really any country, but I would say, we talk a lot about Ghana because they are leading, like hands down, what they've done in terms of the year of return last year. I mean, this year was focused on beyond the return. So, now that folks have gone to Ghana and visited and found out more about the history and the culture, like now let's get beyond that. What exactly are we going to do to not only help build Ghana up, but to create some partnerships and alliances so that you in a lot of ways are building up yourselves and your families here in the United States. And so travel is just a major conduit for being able to make some of those connections, because being here in the United States, they keep so much away from us, and there's so many misconceptions about the continent that I always invite people to go see it for yourself. And so so that's my other reason. I'm almost at the end of the list. Travel is about clearing your head and coming back with a new attitude and a new approach. As I said before, the trip to Ghana changed me. The trip to South Africa probably like pushed me over the edge, because I was like, hold up. After South Africa, my days were numbered in terms of my job. Like I went to Ghana first, and then I went to South Africa. And after that, I was like, forget it, I'm done. I'm absolutely done. And that's how you get Black Travelers Network. And it's so rewarding for me, because I know that had it not been for Black Travelers Network, that there are people who would not know each other. There are people who probably would have never met because, they come from so many different parts of the country, and now they know each other. There's a connection there. And, just to know some people have, like traveled together. Some people have actually dated. And so, I feel like for those very important reasons, once the quarantine life for us is done, I fully expect that people will be ready to go and ready to travel. I could be wrong. I still think it's going to take some time because no matter what the president says, there is a legitimate concern about how highly contagious the coronavirus is, and the fact that there's no cure, and the fact that there's no real treatment kind of plan. And the people who, although the numbers say that people have largely survived, that's been based off of how their biology has responded to the virus. And it's just one of those things. Like I have to be honest and say, we've gotten some calls from people who are a bit traumatized by this experience, and saying like they have to think about whether or not they want to get on a plane. And when you think about the last time we felt that way in this country, it was likely during 9/11. And so we got beyond 9/11. We were definitely changed. And, even now 9/11 is a big mark in a lot of people's mind because of how the country was impacted as a result of what happened, the terrorist attack. But as a country, we definitely got beyond it. Even this whole coronavirus, I'm not sure, none of us are sure how long this whole situation will continue to persist in terms of dominating our media, dominating our life. But we will get beyond it. And I feel like the best that I can do is encourage all of you to make the most of this time in quarantine. Like really use it to your advantage. Some of y'all needed to take some breaks anyway. Some of y'all needed some vacation time that you weren't getting. Some of y'all needed to spend more time with your families, and just stay in the house and recover, because these jobs are something else out here. The economy is not good from what we've heard. People have, and will continue to go through some tough times. But those of us who are really resilient will figure out how to use this opportunity, how to use this moment in time as a real opportunity. It's something that we're focused on, and we will continue to do. One of the things that we created was BTN, Blueprint for Black Families. That's the one and only Facebook group we have. And so I'll definitely include a link in the comments for those of you who are interested in joining, because this is the time to draw closer to your family. And family is not just the lineage you were born into, but it really is about the people you meet and collect along the way and consider to be a part of your family. And so I'll do a piece later on live in the BTN Blueprint for Black Families group, where it'll be a different conversation, something more family oriented. And I just can't tell you how thankful we are to have all of you. We are still moving forward. We're still planning. We still host the best experience in all of Brazil, which is on our calendar for 2021. And so long as there are these reasons that people have to travel, they can never kill travel. Travel is so not dead. So stay encouraged, guys. Stay motivated. Thank you for joining me, and thank you for watching the replay, for those of you who catch the replay. And I will be back later on this week, probably to talk about something totally different about travel and all the craziness that's going on in the industry. Thank you guys for watching. Talk to you soon.